Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. For the past 4 years, the Osasu Show Symposium has championed impactful and action-driven conversations spanning across the public, private and development sectors. On this episode of the Osasu Show, we bring you highlights from the 2017, 2018, 2019 and 2020 editions of the Osasu Show Symposium as we gear up in full charge for the 2021 edition. It promises to be a very intellectually engaging episode. Don't go anywhere.
There are certain moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind and indulge.
What is this?
The Cadbury goodness is in every pack of Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate, making you feel cheerful and pleasant. Enjoy the Cadbury goodness.
Citizens are always on the lookout for credible platforms that fosters impactful discussion between leaders and citizens. For 5 years, the Osasu Show Symposium has proven to be that platform, championing intellectual conversations transversing the public, private, and development sectors. TOS Symposium in 2017 was themed The New Economy and Its Impact on Less Privileged Citizens. This dialogue led to a call for action and mobilization of stakeholders, including key government officials, to keep technological advancements in mind while searching for implementable solutions to the myriad of issues Nigeria faces.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome each and every single one of you here to the Osasu Show's Mating Symposium. I am truly humbled by the individuals cut across all walks of life that I see here today. Your presence is both a valid endorsement and a testimony of your faith in our working commitment to creating a bridge between our citizens and leaders. We are immensely grateful. Thank you. As a child, I read so many books about great men and women in various fields, from politics to entrepreneurship to leadership and even sports. I learned two major lessons from their stories. First is their sacrifice and courage. A great man once said, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." I personally found this to be true because I had to give up a seemingly conventional life to venture into one where I could possibly blaze a trail. I also learned that failure is a decision because great people don't fail. They either succeed or learn. We all know the stories of J.K. Rowling and the Harry Potter fame, Thomas Edison and the light bulb invention, or even our dear President, Muhammadu Buhari. The lesson is, if one truly believes in a cause and is passionate enough to pursue it, quitting is never an option. Even at that age, I aspired to be in a position where I could serve humanity. Most importantly, give a voice to the voiceless and the less privileged. That inspiration of mine was what led to my career path as a journalist and ultimately the birth of the Osasu Show. Our mission on the show has always been an unwavering connection of our people and narratives on matters that affect our common destiny as Nigerians, as Africans. You see, I believe that the journalists of any nation are the gatekeepers of her democracy, and whether a nation succeeds or fails greatly depends on the sacrifices her journalists are willing to make. I also know that in my efforts to elicit faithful responses from my guest on the show, I am sometimes hard on them, especially though when it comes to issues affecting the general populace. So let me use this opportunity to thank each and every single one of you who have been on the receiving end of my questions for your patience, your understanding, and your steadfast support. You see, when I began the show, we started off as just a talk show, but we've since graduated to an online television network and a foundation dedicated to connecting people and transforming lives. In 2015, when I began the show, I made a decision to work closely with the internally displaced people to amplify their calls to government officials and well-meaning Nigerians to come to their assistance. Subsequently, in 2016, my crew and I made a decision to march into the heart of the violent situation in Agatu local government area of Benue State during the infamous Headsmen massacre. The chaos and devastation my crew and I witnessed was overwhelming. It was unprecedented, and it left us in so much grief and despair. Our investigative missions have also taken us to southern Kaduna, Goska and Dangoma to be precise, Ogoniland in Rivers State, Ogbia Federal Constituency in Bayelsa State, Ungogo Local Government in Kano State, amongst other volatile regions both home and abroad. But when we look back at the impact we've made through the show and its foundation, we're encouraged to do even more and take more risk.
I may sound very unpopular this afternoon, but I will speak the truth. Apart from militocracy, politics is responsible for poverty and hunger in Nigeria. Unfortunately, we, the leaders, myself inclusive, have failed this nation and have failed the younger generations. Myself inclusive.
In 2018, the symposium was themed Nigeria Rising, It's Time, establishing social accountability between the electorate and leaders. This edition focused on accountability for leaders seeking elective positions and the rule of law by which there can be meaningful progress. It further established the fact that power is with the people and they must rise up and vote for a better Nigeria for posterity's sake.
The hallmark of democracy is that the people should be in charge and the leaders and those who serve at their liberty. To that extent, there are institutions and frameworks that are established to make sure that every public officer should be accountable. But two things are important. The first one is that leadership is a social contract between the leader and the led. But because it is a contract, there is a moral burden on the leader to make himself available for accountability.
I've traveled across Nigeria and it's shocking to tell you that we are the ones that actually break the news to people that you have a 9 million naira for your primary health care center as captured in your local government budget. The ruling elite keep hiding those information because that information is the real power that keeps them below that poverty line.
This is the second symposium. I pray that we'll live to see the third, because at that point, we'll be doing beyond what we are doing now. We'll be asking for accountability and transparency. Tell us what you've done, and that way you'll be in the books, in the record books of this country, having contributed your own quota.
One of the biggest issues we have in our law is the law of federal character. I want you guys to address the relevance of that to Nigeria's current state and why it matters, why does it matter, why is your employability based on where you are from as against the quality, your skill set that you can deliver to the government.
In 2019, the symposium was on the 21st century woman and her role in national development. This dialogue focused on women's empowerment drive, their contributions to national development, increasing women's participation in the electoral process, addressing the developmental needs of the girl child in Nigeria, and the challenges confronting women in nation building.
The conversation started about 20 years ago among feminists and feminist scholars on how to seriously engage with the idea of bringing men into the gender conversations. Since then, we have witnessed increased interest in the study of men and masculinity as a distinct category of social analysis, as well as a complement to the study of feminism and a pathway to forging strategic alliance for furthering the feminist agenda. The subject of women and political participation has interested me since the graduate school, but that interest has since grown beyond just the academic.
The executive governor spoke about the box, right? Why are we getting it from India? And those are industries we can start to build and hone nationally, because these are contextual issues that belong to us in Nigeria. So let's domesticate these problems, build the solutions locally. Yes, we can employ the talent, but don't forget that that income is going to build somebody else's economy. We need to build our own economy and do it ourselves with our own native problems.
So we always have this conversation about women not having a seat at the table. And then, just probably due to some tokenism, or let me be a bit more optimistic, some competence and all that, a woman finally gets a seat on the table. And probably she's asked to come up with a team that would work with her. The same woman would go for men. If we have an opportunity to take our own seat to that table, or if the seat is there and we are asked to occupy, then we need to be very deliberate and very intentional about how many women we're able to take to that table with us.
I would just like to end by commending the governor from Abia State for all the things that he's doing for the women in his state. And I think it's amazing for you to be providing loans, money, and opportunities for them. But I'd like to suggest that in hand with giving them these loans, we pair it with financial literacy and financial education. Because a woman who's given 10,000 naira or 50,000 naira to scale her business, if she doesn't understand how money works and how to turn it into a profit, and she's using it for her living expenses, she's never going to scale and she's never going to do well. So we need to give them the money, but also give them the financial literacy to help them do what they're supposed to do with the money.
Market women, oh yeah! Market men! God bless. So please, we market women, let me speak the way all of us, some of us will understand. Please, market women, they beg government. Make una help market women put our children for school. Then, not only using us for campaign. After everything, you will dump us. So we market women, we need government to put our children in school so that everything will go well. Thank you.
In 2019 elections, we thought we were going to make a difference. And unfortunately, we did worse than what we had the last time. And it's so sad because when you hear politicians speak, they talk about how passionate they are, with issues concerning women. And it's very sad that in some states, we don't even have a single woman being represented in the state assembly.
The way Nigerian politics is structured right now, I don't see money politics going anywhere anytime soon. And that's just being honest. And there are a number of issues we've listed regarding factors militating against women's political participation. And I believe, take a look at Anambra State. We have Senator Stella Odra, Senator Uche Kunife. And one thing that sticks, when you think about these two women is the fact that they can match any man who runs against them, naira for naira, dollar for dollar, whatever it is that they want to spend, they can double it. The way our politics is structured is not ideal. But the only thing that I would recommend right now is we need to begin to identify those amongst us whom we know have the capacity, have the a sincerity of purpose when it comes to leadership and occupying elective office or political office. Feminism or women's rights, whatever it is that we want to call it, whatever name that we want to present it with, is something that can be purposeful. And we need to have an agenda, we need to know what we want to do, and we need to know how we want to do it. And we have to commit fully to getting all those things done.
In 2020, the symposium focused on rethinking Africa in a bid to spur the continent's drive for economic growth in a globalized world with a paradigm shift perspective.
The theme of this year's symposium is Rethinking Africa. This conversation is timely, given the lessons the pandemic has taught us regarding the need to be self-sufficient. We can no longer afford to rely wholly on a single commodity, or worse off, foreign aid. We saw how each nation and union began hauling for themselves personal protective equipment, ventilators, and medication at the initial stages of the pandemic. Most powerful nations bought up majority of life-saving supplies, leaving the poorer nations scrambling for peanuts. As Africans, it became clear that we have no one to rely on but ourselves. Not our international development partners, not our major trade partners, just us, Africans. It has therefore become imperative to devise homegrown solutions to the plethora of issues plaguing Africa. As a matter of urgency, we must rethink our policies, our politics, and the way we do business. Intra-Africa trade remains at an abysmally low 18% compared to intra-European trade at 69%, intra-Asia trade at 59%, and NAFTA at 55%. In 2017, at the maiden edition of the Osasu Symposium themed The New Economy and Its Impact on Less Privileged Citizens, I spoke about the need for the Nigerian government to rapidly digitize its economy in order for the average citizen to stand a chance at contributing to the collective wealth of the nation while harnessing their innovator potentials. While these discussions led to policy changes at the state level, I was perplexed to find out little to no attempt was made at the national level to increase budgetary provisions for the Ministry of Science and Technology, whose mandate would be to support innovators in devising mechanisms that would transition the nation seamlessly to the global new economy.
At the risk of sounding romantic, but without being romantic, in answering the question, Rethinking Africa, permit me to say that this question has been around for a long time, but I'll not delve into the depths of history. But yet again, I must go to 1906 in a speech delivered by a great South African and African Pixley Kaisa Kaseme when he was a student at the University of Columbia in 1906. He delivered a speech entitled Regeneration of Africa. In that speech, he said that Africa has always been a great continent. He reminded his audience that this is the mother continent, this is the cradle of civilization, this is the continent that housed the great libraries of Timbuktu, this is the continent that gave birth to Mansa Musa and the Asante Hen, and this is the continent that gave birth to the Benin walled cities. This is the continent that was the home of great things, the civilized kingdoms of the Baganda, of the Ashanti, of the Zulu, of Monomotapa Empire. This is the home of many things.
Please allow me to bring in the president of the One Campaign, Gail E. Smith. Thank you once again for joining us. From the initial reaction of world leaders in hoarding personal protective equipment, ventilators, medication, and other valuable response aid, what lessons about self-sufficiency can Africa take away from this pandemic? And what are Africa's development partners, such as the One Campaign, doing to build back better and differently post-COVID-19 pandemic?
I'm delighted to be participating, in fact, honored to be participating in the Osasu Symposium. Look, these issues are really, really important as we look at what may be a new normal. I want to start off by thanking and giving some real credit to Africa and Africa's leadership. You know, at the onset of this pandemic, we watched around the world as there was a literal food fight for PPEs, for therapeutics, for the medical equipment that our health workers so desperately needed. Africa did something different, which was to build this Africa Medical Supplies platform, which allows for aggregate buying, efficiency, effectiveness, and most important, collaboration. And one of the key ingredients in fighting this pandemic is that collaboration and the investment of the political capital it took to build the platform. So that's just a really great signal. It's a great thing for the continent. I think it sends a message to the rest of the world that this is how we need to do it.
A good number of the most brilliant, intelligent, brightest, and hopeful young minds that I've ever worked with in Nigeria have relocated abroad to Canada or several other countries. I've lost some of the most talented, resourceful, just the most brilliant people that I've ever come across. We've lost to greener pastures abroad. I'm talking about lawyers and IT professionals and entertainers and fashion designers and people in tech and in banking and brand managers and just people in all walks of life. We've lost them to greener pastures abroad. And I think that that's what today's conference is all about. Can we rethink Africa? Can we rethink our individual countries like Nigeria? Can we rethink our approach and try to make things a bit better?
Thank you very much for having me as the keynote speaker at the 4th edition of the Osasu Show Symposium with the theme, Rethinking Africa. I'm very pleased to be with you, and I think the topic of this edition is very timely, considering the coronavirus pandemic and its huge implications for the whole world and for Africa in particular. We're going to be going into a very different world after the coronavirus epidemic. In the context of the theme, I am going to be speaking about human capital development and how we can harness the potential of Africa's youth population. And permit me to say a few words about that. Now, in the world in which we are, rethinking Africa means that we have to take a second look at Africa's possibilities in the world today, especially the world as it's going to be shaped after the COVID crisis.
We'd like to move on to President Jonathan. President Jonathan, your name resonates in the minds of not just Nigerians, but Africans across the continent. You are popular for entrenching democracy within the fabric of Nigerian society, where men and women, boys and girls, were able to speak freely without fear of reprisal from your government. Can you talk to us a little bit about the role of democracy, electoral reforms, but most importantly, the power of the people in rethinking Africa?
Thank you. I'm delighted to participate in this 4th edition of the Osasu Show Symposium. I believe this conversation is critical and relevant, especially considering the adjustment to the new normal. Of course, you recollect that since I left office, I've been involved in consolidating democracy across the continent of Africa. I've been leading a number of election observation missions in countries that have elections. And this is a topic that is dear to me because the whole world wants development. African nations want development. And for you to develop as a nation, the governance structure is critical.
This year, we will take a look at the state of the nation, the People's Constitution. It promises to be an excellently put together symposium as always. Follow us across our social media platforms for more information.
That's it for today's episode. Don't forget to register for the Osasu Show Symposium. You can visit our website www.TOSTVNetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network, at the Osasu Show, and use the hashtag in all your tweets, TOS Symposium 21. Due to COVID-19 protocols, we'll only be having 150 people in the hall, so it's first come, first serve with registration. All the details will be on our website, but also ensure you're following our social media pages to stay updated. All right, I'll see you same time, same place next week. Until then, chat with me personally on the number on your screen and follow me on social media at Osasu Igbenedion on Instagram, Facebook, and other social media handles. I'll see you same time, same station next week. Until then, God bless you.
My son has always dreamt of being in the spotlight. As his mother, it is my duty to help him live up to his dream. That's why I give him Bornvita every day, which contains iron, zinc, and vitamin C that supports his immunity and gives him the strength to pursue his dreams. Born Vita, strength to dream.